Hi everybody. Today we are talking about how to deal with people who refuse to take responsibility. So many caregivers tell me that they become angry at elderly parents or spouses who have multiple health issues, and they get frustrated and then they feel guilty about being angry. Well, honestly, these are very normal feelings. There are a lot of different situations. There's instances where the person who needs help, like your mom or your dad, they remain motivated and they're doing as much as possible for themselves and trying not to be a burden and trying not to be a problem. If you are in one of those situations, you are so lucky. God bless you. God bless your parents. Not every situation is like that. There are many that are just the opposite, where loved ones are not doing anything to help themselves. Their emotions are up and down. They're yelling at the caregivers. And they're blaming the caregivers for everything when the caregivers actually are doing the best they possibly can. So, I'm Pamela D. Wilson. A lot of help on my website, PamelaDWilson.com. Please share this video, share this YouTube channel with others who are looking for hope, help, and support in caregiving, aging, healthcare, everything in between. So let's look at why it can be really hard to manage your feelings and your anger about the health problems of the people that you take care of when they don't seem to take any responsibility or accountability or don't want to do anything to help themselves, which can be super frustrating. So one of the aspects that we don't even relate to this or don't even consider is the idea of emotional maturity, which really dates back to our childhood years. If we did not learn emotional maturity then, it's not like we can't learn it later in life, but it can be a little harder, and these issues can stay with us our whole life, which is why sometimes children see their parents having all these problems and get frustrated. So here's a few questions to ask yourself. When you look at your caregiving situation, do you have siblings, brothers and sisters who don't want to be involved in the care of your parents, or they refuse and say, I'm not doing it? So if so, think about this. Their refusal or their reluctance may go all the way back to their relationship with your parents when they were younger. Maybe it was not good. You'll never know unless you ask. And even if you do ask, they may not want to tell you. Your parents may not want to tell you because it may not be a popular subject, right? So relate this to your parents. If your parents lack this emotional maturity or emotional control, they refuse to accept responsibility, their moods are up and down, they blame other people, this could date back to their relationship with their parents, who are your grandparents. So, do your parents and their parents have a good relationship? If not, this may be part of what you're seeing with your parents who are resistant and don't want to take responsibility and blame other people. So there's a whole emotional component to this that we don't even think about. Not everybody learns to take responsibility for their actions or even understands how their actions affect other people. So let's look at this from the side of ourselves and us taking personal responsibility. And the question of, how do I know if I'm emotionally mature or not? Questions. Is it hard for you to admit when you make a mistake? Is it hard for you to apologize? Do you blame other people for everything that happens in your life rather than saying, my fault, shouldn't have done this? Do you find yourself lying or bending the truth a little bit to get out of uncomfortable situations, or not wanting to tell the truth when somebody asks you something directly because you feel bad about the answer, or you're going to be embarrassed, or you're going to make somebody mad? Do you lack emotional impulse control? Are your moods up and down, and you're angry and you're happy and you're saying words, you're creating drama? Happens a lot in care situations. Do you have to be the center of attention? Does everything revolve around you and you don't consider anybody else's feelings? So if you answer yes to any of these, you may not be quite as emotionally mature as you could be. So if anyone wants to build strong relationships, lasting relationships, we kind of have to get a handle on our emotions and the way that our actions affect other people. We have to be able to admit that we were wrong and apologize and be able to talk about, yeah, I'm really good at this, but I'm really bad at this in relationships. And I know I may not be always honest with you, or I may have all these other faults, but I'm really trying to do a good job. It's just having those honest conversations, admitting that we're not perfect, right? People who don't admit they're wrong kind of place their needs above everybody else, right? They think of themselves first, and they don't think about how their emotions or responses affect other people. So they're not really empathetic. They're just self-centered and self-focused, right? So the issue is when that happens and you have conflict, so between somebody who's like that and the caregiver, it's really hard to have emotionally mature conversations, right? Because the emotionally immature person is going to get defensive. They're going to get angry. They're going to deny that they have done anything to contribute to the conflict. They're going to not want to discuss the situation. It's going to be like, no, I didn't do it. So it's really then hard for the caregiver, who might be emotionally mature, to resolve this situation. Now, it's not likely that people can't change. So, I mean, what I want to say is it is likely that people can change, but they have to be able to recognize their behaviors, right? It can be hard to do that when you're older. So taking responsibility for our actions and our decision is part of becoming emotionally mature and having good relationships in caregiving and everywhere else in life. But if you're in a relationship with a person who just can't seem to get there, how do you survive? Well, part of it is learning how to set boundaries. There's plenty of articles on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, about setting boundaries. I have podcasts about setting boundaries. There's other videos here on my YouTube channel about setting boundaries. So one of the first things you want to do is avoid having the same argument over and over and over and over again, because that is just going to go nowhere. That is a dead end. So instead of ask for solutions, what are you going to do about that? What will you do about that? You know, sorry, I can't help you with it. It's for you to do. Because that leads to caregivers not accepting blame or taking responsibility away from other people to solve their own problems. Caregivers do that all the time. They want to fix things, right? So you take on other people's problems, you become more burned out, you become angry, you become upset, you lose your job, your marriage is at risk, your kids don't like you anymore. Stop doing it. Let people to take their own responsibility, which can be hard because you're like standing back saying, oh my God, bad things are going to happen, right? Well, we all have to be responsible for ourselves. That's life. If you're the person who's having a hard time with this, how do you kind of like move the needle the other way? Well, you have to be more open to feedback and the opinions of others and having difficult conversations that may kind of hurt your feelings and make you feel bad, right? But if you can open up to how your actions contribute to a situation on either direction, right? As a caregiver, you may be too helpful. You may be too controlling. As the person on the other side, you might be too opinionated, closed-minded. You don't want to talk about stuff. So opening that door, apologizing, saying, wow, you know, I said that and I really wasn't thinking. I need to think more about what I'm going to say. Or, wow, I wish I would have been more thoughtful about that. I'm going to try to do that in the future. So while it's easy to become frustrated with any relationship, the best way to try to start finding that balance is to level up your own skills first so that you feel comfortable rather than running away from conflict or shying away from a situation. You feel comfortable talking about the situation and having those difficult conversations so that you can smooth out all of these rough edges that are involved in caregiving relationships and really every relationship in life. Relationships are not easy. If they were, we wouldn't always be so emotionally upset or emotionally distraught or pulled one way or another. Caregivers have a hard job. People who need care have a hard job of working through it too. The best we can do is try to work through it together. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com, and there's so much help, online courses, podcasts. I think now over 150. There's hundreds of videos here on my YouTube channel. Check them out. Press the share button. Google the topics that you want. The videos will come up. I hope to see you here again on another day. Have a fabulous day today. See you again soon.